Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports on a Monday morning, the first Monday in June. Lenny, great job. I always enjoy waking up, getting up early, then at 9 o'clock turning on, listening to Lenny and all the box scores and the nuggets. And yesterday, I tell you what, guys, those of us who do these podcasts, when you sit down for an hour to talk about any subject, even one that you love, like baseball, like we all do, I'm telling you, it takes some time to prepare. And so, as I'm listening to Andrea and Lenny yesterday for 3 hours, can only imagine the time and prep work goes into that. So, I want to say shout out to those two guys right to start with for all the hard work you do. And what a great network we've got here. Let's talk about the standings as we look at Monday morning and some run differentials. And as we go through, we may even take a slight break and talk about some players and how they're performing. I tell you, there's some guys in Detroit and some guys in Miami you got to look out for, and we're going to talk about that as we go through these standings. Okay, first of all, last night, we're going to start in the American League. Can we? Shall we? And we look atop the American League East, and there sit the New York Yankees at 38-20. Who'd have thought, right? Winners of 7 of 10, winners of 2 of 3 this weekend at home against the Red Sox. They did lose last night 8-5, and a big reason for that was Mr. Xander Bogaerts. Bogaerts came into the game hitting 147 career against CC Sabathia, okay? And he not only got a homer, he had a single. Starting the bashing the Red Sox, you always wonder when the sleeping giant's going to wake up, right? And we know Boston can hit. I tell you, another thing in that game I watched, Michael Chavez hit a blooper down the right field line in the ball game. And Clint Frazier, gosh, are you kidding me? Is there a worse right fielder in Major League Baseball? I tell you what, maybe even in Little League. Frazier is just having an awful time in the outfield this year, don't you think? And I don't know. I'm wondering, I know they are short of players. I know the Yankees have gone through many, many injuries. But I'm wondering how long do you let Frazier stay in right field? It is just crazy how bad he's playing. The Yankees 2.5 game lead over the Rays. Okay, the Rays entertain Minnesota. And we talked about this last week during one of our shows. Big series is coming up over the weekend. The Yankees, Red Sox, the Twins and the Rays, and the Astros and the A's. Okay? Well, Tampa Bay loses 3 in a row to the Twins. It's a 4-game set. They lose 3 out of 4 at home. They dropped to 2.5 games behind the Yankees in the American League East. The Red Sox, by salvaging Game 3 last night, only 8.5 now behind New York. And they go to Kansas City. You look at those 3 teams starting tomorrow. It's a weird slate today. If you look at the slate, 4 games in Major League Baseball. Why don't they just give everybody this Monday off, right? But starting tomorrow, the Yankees go to Toronto for 3. Tampa Bay goes to Detroit for 3. And Boston goes to Kansas City for 3. So those are winnable games for all 3 teams. We'll see how they fare against those opponents over the next 3 days beginning tomorrow. Toronto, 17.5 out. They've lost 6 in a row. And if you look at the run differentials now in the American League East, you see the Yankees at a plus 76. The Rays at a plus 78, and the Red Sox at a plus 31. And I tell you what's really telling about the American League East right now. What's up, Chappie? Good to see you. Oh, man, Frazier's errors were horrible. You look at the away records of those three teams, and here's where you see the difference. Okay, the Yankees are 17-8 away from Yankee Stadium. The Rays are 18-8 away from Tropicana Field. The Red Sox are 16-17 on the road. And there's a big differentiation between these three teams, at least to this part of the season, and we're a third of the way through the year. Okay? So going forward, and I just told you, all three teams are on the road this week. So let's see how the American League East upper echelon fares on the road. So far, so good for the Yankees and Rays, and not so good for the Red Sox. But, hey, it's early, right? We'll see how it goes. Let's look at the Central. Wow, are the Twins not just like killing it out there? and you look at their team, and there's really not a weak link on the team. And I tell you what, a guy that's just come back off the injured list is really helping out a lot. The Twins staked out to that early lead against Tampa Bay, and they never looked back. Tampa Bay did rally in the ninth inning, but the Twins win 9-7 yesterday. Check these numbers out, okay? Minnesota 40-18 overall. That's a .690 winning percentage, the best record in the American League as of right now. Now, just by a hair of your chinny chin chin, but they do have the best record. They have won 8 of 10. 3 in a row over the Rays, and that's not chopped liver. They are 19-9 at home. They are 21-9 on the road. So as good as they are at home, they're even a little bit better on the road to begin this year. Okay, now this week, the Twins are on the road, but let me tell you who they play. They first play Cleveland, okay, who's now tied for third in the division with the White Sox with a losing record. And after going to Cleveland for 3, they go to Detroit for 3. All right? They lead the White Sox by 11.5. They lead the top Tribe by 11.5. They lead Detroit by 17. Now, I know Detroit has lost 2 in a row, okay? But there are a couple of players that have really started hitting the ball for Detroit, and one of those is Kristen Stewart.
The 1-2 to Kristen Stewart. Belted to deep right. That ball is gone. Number 4 on the year for Kristen Stewart, doing it in front of his home crowd. It's 7-4 Atlanta. Back-to-back 3-hit games for Stewart against the Braves.
What a weekend for Kristen Stewart. I know Detroit didn't win, but they hit the ball really well. They've lost 2 in a row. Yesterday, 7-4 to the Braves. As I said, they entertained Tampa Bay. But let's take a look at some of these Detroit players for a moment. We just talked about Kristen Stewart. And, yeah, I mean, just killing it. For the second straight day, he had 3 hits. He went 6 for 10 on Saturday and Sunday. That boosted Stewart's average up 26 points for the season. All right. Over the last 11 games, he's 16 for 43, hitting .372. Now, overall, he's only at .237, but the last 11 games are what I really look at. How have you done recently? .372, okay? 16 extra base hits, 4 homers, 20 RBIs, 13 runs. You know, he was injured for a little while. He's back. I tell you what, you can do a lot worse than Kristen Stewart in fantasy if you're looking an outfielder or a DH. So just keep that in mind. But that's not the only hot bat in that lineup. How about Jacoby Jones? And when he mentioned Jacoby Jones this morning on his show, Jacoby is on a tear. He hit his 6th home run. Now, I know the Tigers lost to the Braves, but he's 27. He's been raking over the last 2 weeks. Over the last 2 weeks, Jacoby Jones, a 360 average, a 660 slug, 3 homers. Okay, now what's the big change? Well, the Tigers are saying it's a change in hitting mechanics. But whatever it is, it seems to be working. Now, I know that they play some stiff competition this week. They Tampa Bay for 3 to start with, okay? But it's worth a look. And I'm not saying drop somebody for them. I'm just saying if you have an injury or you're looking at a free agent, those are 2 guys. And while we're at it, let's make it a trifecta of Detroit Tigers, can we? And I don't usually talk about the Tigers this much, but I think here of late it's worthy of note. Here's a player. Let me give you his last 5 game stat lines, okay? 1 for 5 with a homer, 1 for 4, 5 for 5 with 2 homers, 2 for 5, and 1 for 4, okay? You add it up, that's 23 at-bats, 10 hits. Okay? 10 for 23 over his last 5 games. That's a .435 average. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about, of course, no other but Nico Goodrum. And the thing about Nico Goodrum, and the reason you may want to consider adding him as a free agent, is this. He's multi-positional eligible. Okay? Outfield, first base, second base. That covers a lot of ground for fantasy. He'd be a great bench ad. Just saying. So keep your eyes on those 3 Tigers as we go forward. And again, not saying that they are gotta-haves. I'm just saying if you have a shortage of players on your team, they are certainly worth a look. Okay, as we go through the rest of the American League, we got to talk about the American League West. And on Thursday, before I left you for the weekend, I was singing the praises of the Swingin' A's, remember? And I was telling you that coming up over the weekend, they had to play the Astros. And those games would have a lot to say about where the A's would be in the standings. And as we looked at the standings on Thursday, the Oakland Athletics were tied for the lead in the wild card. When we wake up on Monday morning and we look at the standings, Arnie, we see the Oakland A's are in now 4th place in the American League West. What's up with all that? It's called a buzzsaw called the Houston Astros. Okay, over the weekend, we saw some speed from Mr. Straw. They caught up Miles Straw from AAA, and he has just been a little fire plug for Houston. They also got some good effort out of their catcher, and Presley, their relief pitcher, came in yesterday, and what's not clicking with Houston? And the thing about Houston and the Yankees, both, they suffer these injuries. You know, the Yankees have, we know that they're without Judge. We know they're without Stanton. We know they're without Andujar. We know they're without Didi. Okay? We know they're without Soriano. I mean, they just are without so many different, Severino, excuse me. We know they're without so many players. Well, Houston is too. Correa and his massage. Altuve. Springer. Okay? So it's amazing to see what these 2 teams have done considering their injuries. And I think it's interesting to listen to what A.J. Hinch had to say, first talking about his rookie center fielder, Miles Straw.
He had a very impactful game, obviously, but it was the pressure that he could put on the opponent that you could feel every time he was coming up to bat or every time he got on base. And then to see him fly around the bases a couple times on singles was huge. Scoring on the ball that stayed in the infield that got away from Olsen was huge. Just exactly the reason why we like him. We think he can help a winning team is because of the pressure he puts on. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously going to make his case like all these guys are trying to make an impression. But the last thing that we're really thinking about right now is how the roster gets put back together. I mean, when those guys come back, it'll feel really good. These guys are going to get to play. And watching Stubbs catch tonight,